What's going on, everybody? My name is Dylon57, and welcome back to another epic video. I kind of wanted to address MoP Remix and follow up on my previous video in regard to the topic. Kind of go over some general points that I've gotten some new perspective on, some new data. And I do agree, my last video was a bit short-sighted, so I kind of just wanted to give a general update on some of my opinions on that. So, first and foremost, in the comments, I heard a lot of people saying that having around like 80k ish threads was pretty achievable during normal gameplay if you're like turbo grinding it out. So, my bad on the actual numbers and the scale of that. Whenever I was referring to any like adjustments taking place, I was more talking about the people who were like way far ahead, right? And what's funny is between then and now, Blizzard actually did nerf people's cloaks who were taking advantage of the frogs for cloak gains and stuff like that, which I don't know if they did it based off the actual number on their cloak or if they did it based off of mob kills. Because I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would imagine that they have a way to track, kind of like KC in RuneScape, how you have the number of times you've killed something. I would imagine they have a way to track that internally, and they basically just took people who killed an absurd amount of those and took them down to the level of someone that just like plays a whole lot. I mean, that's cool, and I have noticed that it's made a difference as far as like how people interact with one another. So I think that overall it was a good move from Blizzard. Everybody's going to be the villain in somebody's story. You're going to have people who are like, yeah, screw those guys, get nerfed. But then you're gonna have the other people who are like, you took away my player power because of something that was your fault anyway. So I'm gonna quit playing. I get both sides of that. I do. But I think it was healthy for the game mode. And I also got a lot of feedback in the comments of people saying it's a fun game mode. Don't take it seriously. It's not retail. Blah blah blah. Uh, and not to completely disregard it, but it's still something that you're putting your time into. Nobody wants to feel like they're wasting their time, and it feels bad. The FOMO, the sunk cost, you know, whenever you could have been on a far more accelerated track because this is a fun game mode. We don't want to do this forever. We have a couple months to do this, and then not only will we be done, we'll want to be done at that point. So I found that the sooner that people can move on to the next thing, the sooner they'll want to do that. And that's not really what the developers intended for this. So anyway you want to slice it, I think it was a decent move for them to do. If they did it off of Mob KC, then that's even better because I wouldn't want anybody who legitimately farmed out their cloak to be nerfed and just have people who like really hardcore exploited that farm to be brought down to a level where you're still far ahead of everyone else. You're just not exploitatively far ahead. So, if anybody has the exact numbers on that too, I'd be really curious to know like what those people were brought down to because I couldn't find any numbers online. So, but I do think that some of my numbers and some of my perspective was a little short-sighted in the previous video, so I kind of just wanted to address that. And moreover as well, it's not like hyper farms are dead. They're not they're not dead even a little bit. Right now, you have Zandalari trolls on Isle of Thunder. That's a thing. People been hyper farming those. It's more just about like the effectiveness of those hyper farms. And I won't lie, I've done some hyper farm grinding too. You know, I got 100k on my cloak now, and I've got my item level up a lot. But I've also been grinding for like 12 hours or something. So, without like crazy gains or anything. And I'm a demon hunter, so I've been playing, you know, relatively efficiently. Got a group together, and we were doing some farming and stuff, but I digress. Um, Regardless of the whole cloak thing, I found that eye levels are kind of more impactful, which I got some feedback in the comments about too. It feels like actually getting eye levels is more impactful than just getting raw stats on your cloak. So if it were me, what I would recommend you do, I would recommend for right now, you just pour all of your bronze into getting your eye level up all the way, or get your gear upgraded as far as you can get it upgraded, because that's only going to effectively take like a week or two ish. And then you have the rest of the time in MoP Remix to farm up your currency and get your mounts and your collectibles and all that stuff. Uh, once you get up to those higher eye levels, you can basically solo daily repeatable content, like even raids. Like you can go in there and you can pretty much smash anything. So I've gotten to the point where I go into a raid or a dungeon or anything like that. I basically just ignore everybody and kill everything and then go. And I'm not even that juiced. There are some people who are even more juiced than I am. Like I said, I met a couple people from my server that I've been kind of playing with a little bit. My new bud, he's like turbo juiced, just completely obliterates everything. It's really convenient. So I would say if you're going into it thinking like, oh yeah, I want to get all the collectibles, I want to do all the things, I feel like it's going to be more efficient in the long run to get at all the things and unlock all the collectibles to focus on getting your gear upgraded for even like a week. Even getting your gear up to this level, about which I've managed to do, grinding my ass off in like 3 days ish. Yeah, about 3 days, super grinding my ass off. You could reasonably get your gear upgraded to this level in like a week, and then it makes all of your other farming way faster. So you can cash in all of that work, I guess you could say, toward the end when you get all your collectibles and stuff. Not to mention just your raw cloak gains, which help a lot. So I would definitely recommend doing that. Another thing I wanted to kind of address as well is that I managed to do some heroics. I did Vault, Terrace, and Heart of Fear heroic. And I kind of wanted to correct a statement that I made from my previous video. It turns out heroics are a little less brain dead than I thought they were. Um, and what I mean by that is they are actually tuned to be more difficult. And I incorrectly thought that you could go in with a lower eye level than that, and like lower than 400. I retract that statement wholeheartedly. I think that you should have at least 400 going in there, and 400 is even kind of low because now I have a better idea of like the linear progression of a character over time. It takes like a few days, I would say, a few days to a week to get up to that 400 eye level range to where you could like reasonably perform well in a heroic. And it's not even just from like a DPS standpoint, it's from a getting one shot from incidental mechanics standpoint. You have to have like a pretty reasonable health pool to live through some of the overtuned mechanics that they have in heroic. And I don't even want to say overtuned, just like tuned, I guess. Um, I definitely want to walk that statement back. It's like the mechanics themselves aren't hard. It's just that they do so much damage. So if you only have like a million health or something, you can easily get one shot by a random raid wide damage mechanic. It happened to me a few times actually. I just managed to get in with a group that didn't care that I was dead weight for a little bit. And I managed to get some perps. So that's been very, very helpful. Getting some epic equipment. That's kind of where that's at. As far as my plans for the future, right now I'm still working on my Demon Hunter. I want to get my Demon Hunter maxed out so I can do a lot of farming really fast. I managed to finally hit 100% crit, which is awesome. It's been very noticeable, very cool. But now I'm going to be working into haste. Found out that haste is actually what dictates the procs on your tinkers, like on your tinker gems. So it's good to have like a whole lot of haste, so those can proc more often. So that's definitely what I'm going to be working on next is getting a lot of haste, and then kind of a side deal. I'm going to be working on leveling one of each class going into the next expansion because of the new warband features, and I also want to be able to have like a repertoire for new content. So that's going to be something I'm going to be working on the side. Another thing I would like to do is I'm going to be doing some work on reevaluating my Patreon. I'll be perfectly honest, I kind of just threw it up there and made up some tiers. I didn't put a lot of thought into what the actual benefit of going to the Patreon would be. So I'm going to be trying to create more of a value add for my Patreon. And if there's anything that you guys would like to see specifically, let me know in the comments. I'm open to ideas and suggestions for sure. I want anyone who decides to support the channel to feel like they're getting something as opposed to just like, hey, here's a few bucks. you know, unless you want to do that, in which case there'll probably be a tier for that. And even then, it's totally optional, just in general, to go to the Patreon. But let me know in the comments if there's anything specifically that you would like to see. Like I said, open suggestions. There's also I want to work on some more varied types of content for these videos. What I typically do is I create like a rough outline of what I want to talk about, and then while I'm making the video, I'm kind of coming up with what I'm saying, if that makes sense. And then I edit out the and-ums at the end and, you know, put it out there because these videos aren't meant to be some sort of high production piece of content. They're meant to be more of like an opinion piece about where things are at from your average dude. I'm relatively average, I guess. Regardless, I want to start thinking about some more focused, scripted, and highly edited stuff that I come out with periodically. Of course, like I'll still have the videos here where I kind of just turn on the camera and talk about my opinions and things that I've been doing. This, that, and the other. But I also want to make some more like highly edited, cool content like that. So that's something that I'm going to be working on. And then I kind of wanted to apologize if videos start coming out a little bit more slowly. I'm out of money and I am not taking my meds anymore. So I've been feeling like I got hit by a dump truck. So it's kind of been rough, but I'm still trying my best to bring you epic videos. So yeah, I'm gonna be working on that, trying to stay motivated, trying to keep making videos and stuff. And yeah, there's I'm trying to also work on my processing of comments and stuff because a lot of my videos get ratioed really hard because they're inherently just like me communicating my opinion, and people on the internet don't like it when you have opinions. And there's always going to be the person who's like, "Oh, well, I play 2 hours a day and have 12 kids, and I have 420 threads," or whatever. There's always going to be that one person or that group of people who just tries to be negative. I'm going to try to just stop acknowledging the negativity. It puts me in a really bad space. But if you have constructive feedback, I'm all about it. I'd love to hear some constructive feedback, maybe some suggestions you have, so I can make the videos more enjoyable to watch. I'd like that. I'm not immune to criticism. It's not that I can't take criticism per se. Here's me realizing that's going to open me up to a whole slew of negative comments. I'm not going to worry about that. So, um, yeah, just let me know. How are you doing in MoP Remix? How are you doing in general? Start a discussion down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Maybe go over to my Patreon. I could use $1. Anyway, wishing you all the best. I'll see you in the next one.